Hey everybody, welcome back to Todd's podcast. We got a great guest today. His name is Johnny Townsend. Johnny is a former professional football punter. He's the middle child of three boys like myself, so I like to think we're the best looking and the best adjusted. They're the most well adjusted and the smartest. I've got two that might say no, and you might have two that would disagree with that too. But you've got an older brother, Clay, and a younger brother, Tommy. You played at Boone High School in Orlando. You were initially recruited by Ohio State.
Yep.
Is that true?
Yep.
But you came to your senses and ended up playing college football at Florida, so go Gators. You graduated UF with 2 degrees, a BS in telecommunications and a master's in business. I think you said you might have another master's degree. Is that you got 2?
Tacked one on. I have 2 now, so MBA and MSM, which is a 1-year business master's as well. So
also an ATO, so Rera Rega.
Rega.
Go ATO. You had a stellar Hall of Fame career at UF where you're the all-time leading punter. I'm assuming you still are. Mm-hmm. And you were selected by the Oakland Raiders in the 5th round of the 2018 draft with the 173rd pick. Your younger brother Tommy is also punter in the NFL, currently with the Houston Texans. You had the highest FBS punting average in the country in 2016 with a 47.9 yard average, which is phenomenal. You also set the punting records at Florida. You held this record for a while until some guy, Ryan Stonehouse, broke it out of Colorado State. Is that the thin air out there? Is that what we're attributing that to?
He's got the altitude on his side a little bit, yeah.
Do you ever run into him and say, hey, man, I'm punting in 100% humidity and you're out here with rocket fuel?
Right, exactly. No, those conditions definitely play into it. So haven't had a word with him about it yet, but might need to.
Well, welcome to the podcast. I appreciate you coming in, Johnny, and we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. We're going to talk football. We're going to talk athletics. I also want to spend some time on your foundation and what you're doing, the Johnny Townsend Foundation, and also what you're doing now and what your plans for the future are, if that's all right.
Let's do it. Let's get into it. Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on. It was an easy drive getting down here.
Good. Well, it's taken a while, and
we're long overdue, aren't we?
Yeah, we are long overdue. And I've come to realize your mom and dad are not as good at texters as I had hoped, because I started in January and I texted your mom and then I texted your dad and they would text back and then nothing for 2 or 3 months. And then, I meant to reply this. So finally we caught up.
Because I get about 100 phone calls from them a day, so I don't know where the disconnect is.
I've gotten 4 or 5 from your mom already about where she's heading this weekend and some stuff that my mom's dealing with. And then your dad got on with some things as well. So you were in high school, were you a 2-star athlete, 3-star?
I was something in that range. And the only reason why I think is because I was more primarily a kicker on paper.
Okay.
And they capped the stars for kickers at 3 stars.
Okay.
So if you're a 2-star kicker in high school, you're doing pretty good.
Okay. Did you play baseball or any other sports in high school?
I did, yeah. I was a baseball player from as long as I could stand pretty much, and played all the way through senior year of high school. And funny enough, had a really unique opportunity. We'll get into this in a minute, but to play both football and baseball at The Ohio State University. So was originally committed as a 2-sport.
Really? Yep. What position? Center field?
I was a catcher.
Catcher.
All
right, good. Yep. You look like a center fielder also. And could you hit, or were you there for defense?
I was a hitter.
Good.
Yeah, I was a hitter. So
good.
Yeah.
Why did you not go to Ohio State and do two sports? Was it the allure of Florida and the family, or is it too far away, or it just was a better opportunity to stay local? I'll
tell you what, I had a pretty unique recruiting journey, and I was very fortunate to have not many scholarship offers, but pretty big ones.
Right.
Had Cincinnati was my first one, then had Ohio State, Florida, and Alabama. And that was it. So I had some pretty big ones.
Those are pretty good ones.
Yeah, so originally committed to Ohio State because I went up to a kicking camp there and was competing for a scholarship. And Coach Urban Meyer just liked me, brought me into his office, and offered me a scholarship. But there's an ultimatum. If I left his office without committing, he was going to pull the offer and go find someone else at the camp that would take me.
Really?
So I was sitting next to my mom, and Urban looked at us and said, "Are you going to be a Buckeye?" And I guess we said, yeah, I guess we're Buckeyes. And the very next day was the baseball camp. So I already had a scholarship on the books with on the football side of things. And so I think that helped with the whole getting the baseball offer as well. He said, oh, well, you're already going to be here and you're already paid for it.
Yeah,
so
we'll let the baseball program pay for you and we'll get you for free.
Right. Like, you can just join the baseball team too. So I was committed to him my whole senior year of high school, and honestly, that felt like the University of Florida staff at the time, because Urban had just got to Ohio State. He brought pretty much the whole staff, Mick Marotti, the legendary strength coach as well, and so it felt like the Gators, so to speak, you know? So
what's it like to be recruited on that level, and how can you can tell some stuff, I guess, but what are the tricks of the trade? How do they convince you and your mom or your dad, whoever's with, whatever parent may be with the high school, or how do they convince you to want to come to their school?
Sure. Well, this is pre-NIL, so there were not many incentives that they could, publicly throw out at you. Yeah. So the traditional recruiting pitch is what pretty much sold it. Winning culture, a good coaching staff, getting developed to go to the NFL. Those are kind of like the three primary categories. But then on top of it, again, ultimatums will make you commit. If if Urban's going to pull your scholarship, if you don't accept it, you just accept it.
Yeah.
And this was back in the day when you had to just actually send CD-ROMs to coaches. The whole recruiting cycle was different. I remember my dad would be sitting at the top of the bleachers with an old school video camera.
I remember.
Recording kicks, burning CDs, and we'd mail them out to colleges and hope to hear back. And that was kind of the process.
Right. Did you play any other positions in football other than kicker?
I did. I was a quarterback and free safety. So I always like to say we never wanted to be kickers. Nobody really does. It just kind of happens. And, we were just the guys that could kick the ball the furthest on the team.
Right.
It's a pretty kind of funny origin story if you got time for it. Freshman football was the starting quarterback of the team. And, of course, we didn't have a kicker. So the coach said, all right, we need someone to try out. A couple guys raised their hands. I was one of them. And he handed us a football. And I just swung my leg at it and kicked it. And it was terrible, but it just happened to catch a roll.
Right.
It rolled further than everyone else's. So from there, I became the kicker. And, from there, started slowly honing the craft, learning how to kick the spirals.
Right.
You name it. So.
Well, your mom's side certainly athletic. I'm not sure how athletic your dad's side was, but you had uncles that played.
Don't say that on camera.
No. I just
he likes to claim the athleticism, but we know it's not him.
He may have it. I just know your mom's side of the family, having them grown up in Winter Haven, and your Uncle John and my brother Rick are best friends. They were best friends in high school, and so I've just known them a lot longer than your dad and his side.
I'll tell you what, there is some heavy athletic ties on that side of the family.
Yeah.
Not even just with, Rocco and John both playing Division I football, but grandfather, Rocco English, played for the Boston Red Sox, and we had about 10 cousins on that side go full Division I scholarships.
I did not know anything about that. Now, don't you have a cousin that you're trying to help get on to Florida as a long snapper or something?
Oh, yeah, that's just one of them. One of my cousins is a starting long snapper for the Gators.
Okay.
He just won the Patrick Manley Award for the best long snapper in college football, and he's an All-American at Florida and everything. So he's just one of them, and we've had everything from scholarship lacrosse players at Penn State to quarterbacks at Florida State, which we don't talk about. Well. But, man, we got them across the board. So.
Well, I think your uncle Rocco, he went to Penn State.
Yep.
Wanting to be a quarterback. He may have been there in that bracket, but I think he was also their kicker as well, like a place kicker and an extra point and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had the old squared off toe.
Yes, I remember that. He probably kicked his brother a lot with it too.
Oh yeah, I bet he did.
Did you like baseball more than football?
You know what? I didn't at all. To be honest, baseball was not a very fun sport to me.
I love baseball.
It was slow. It was more about the camaraderie with the teammates. Luckily, growing up in South Orlando, it's a lot like this community here. It's very old school and tight knit. My dad went to Boone High School.
Right.
We went to Boone High School and ended up playing sports with a lot of kids of his friends.
Right.
And so ever since we were children in T-ball, we played all the way through high school with the same guys. And that's what made sports so special, is that camaraderie with those people.
I still hang out with guys I played Little League with, and, Colt League and Thoroughbred, and we still, talk about the glory that none of us can really remember that well, but we think we were better than we probably were.
Yep.
Being a defensive back, that explains perhaps some of your aggressiveness as a kicker.
Mm-hmm.
You were certainly not one that would kick and run off the field. I never noticed in anything, and that's what I always enjoyed. It's like, holy crap, he's just knocking the snot out of some of these people. I think part of it is mixing it up and making the game fun as well.
Yep. I think it was just the competitiveness. Me and Tommy were always very scrappy athletes, and older brother Clay was as well, but we wanted to be different.
Right.
Kickers had this stigma that they were just unathletic and goofy players, and we wanted to show people that we were actually athletes. And now at the NFL level, you have to be a top tier athlete in
The
order
trainers are
to
athletic.
be a kicker. Oh,
Right.
yeah, my gosh. So, I always got in there every now and then and had some big hits and a couple penalties here and there for those. But,
remember.
we were always in the mix.
So you've got some kicking, the kicking records at Florida. Sitting around the dinner table at Thanksgiving, do you just look at your younger brother and say, "Don't ever forget it"?
Yeah, and then he says, "Well, I have 2 Super Bowl rings,
That's right.
and you have a Birmingham Bowl ring."
That's right.
So I can never win that argument by any means.
And your brother Clay says, "And I'm going to fix both of your hips when y'all get older, being a surgeon."
Yeah, and he says, "And maybe you'll get a discount on
That's
those."
right.
Yeah.
No, he'll charge you full freight. Was Clay an athlete?
He was, he was football, baseball as
Was he?
well, and really good athlete. But he tore his ACL, I think, his junior year of high school. So
Okay.
unfortunate timing, but it ended up, opening up his mind to what his career is now.
Right.
And he's an orthopedic surgeon in Philadelphia, and he's carving out a really unique niche in sports. So I think with a combination of all of our networks now, he'll have a great, team ortho gig somewhere soon. So
My daughter-in-law is fourth year med student, and she's wanted to be a surgeon, and then she's doing a rotation with an orthopedic surgeon. And now she says, "I think I want to be an orthopedic surgeon." So that's pretty cool. And so your time at University of Florida, both your brothers, your dad, uncles, ATOs, Rega again. Your mom, I think, was a little sister. You also were involved in student government, and I think that's part of helping round young men and young women out. You were Florida Blue Key. Were you very active at Blue Key? Or I was in Blue Key. I don't hardly even remember it. It's not a big part of my life. It wasn't back then, other than to say I was in it. But you obviously were a lot more active. Did you enjoy that part? Do you still get involved with Gator Growl and some of the festivities?
100%. I'll tell you what, Florida Blue Key is, secretly kind of the heartbeat of the university. That organization, those students pretty much purely run with no supervision. I mean, they're just very sharp kids that run everything from massive budgets around UF Homecoming to, all these campaigns that manage the day-to-day of student life on campus. And so I think, being a legacy in Florida Blue Key honestly helped steer me in that direction, because as an athlete, I was consumed in sport and really not aware of what else there was outside of it. So, really thankful for the family and for guiding me in that direction. And honestly, I keep in touch with a lot of the Blue Key kids these days more than a lot of the football players I played with.
Yeah, I've gone back and looked at the roster of all the Blue Keys from Florida, the different years they were tapped. And I knew my partner, Dean Saunders, was. And he reminds me that, I was there before you were, Todd. And I said, I agree. We were in the student senate together, and he would always go to the meetings, and I would always sign in and go down to the Bratskeller and have a beer or two and come back when it's time to sign out. So
there you go.
You were also 5-time academic All-American or honor roll, team captain. Were you able to be very active in the fraternity? I know you were being drug as a student athlete in a lot of different directions, and now with the student government, did you have a chance to spend much time enjoying the fraternity life?
You know what? I didn't get to as much as I had liked to. And looking back, it's one of those things where it's a little bit of regret. Hearing guys like yourself and my dad and all his buddies tell those stories of what life was like in the ATO house back in the day, it's something I wish I was more involved in, because it's not like I didn't party. I had fun, I was still a normal college student. It was just, more so with the football guys. But yeah, I wish I would have got around them more. I'll tell you what, it was a good excuse for all the rush time of the year. Though. I got out of a lot of things with the football excuse.
Yeah.
So.
Did your brother Clay, was he more involved since he had torn his ACL and went and doing student athletics, or was he kind of on the periphery as a brother?
Oh, he was full on frat star lifestyle. He really enjoyed it, and I don't know how he managed it, honestly, because he lived in the ATO house for, I'm pretty sure, 3 years.
I had 3.5 years there.
Oh my gosh! And seeing the conditions of that place, and there was always something going on that was distracting you from priorities. So
it was probably girls or beer,
right?
Or music. That was it,
right?
And it contributed heavily to my 2.2 GPA that I graduated with, but I got to be president. I was also vice president. It helped me with leadership development, and so maybe that's what Clay was able to bring out of that too. And living there is not for everybody. I mean, you're living in a commune.
Oh yeah,
and there's not much privacy. And your dad never did. My older brother never did. My younger brother played on the baseball team, so he was a student athlete, kind of like you. He was an ATO, but not as active as in their chapter like I was, or your dad or brothers.
But man, there's a lot of guys that do it. I mean, if you look at the ATO, I mean, there's so many legend sports figures too.
Yep.
I mean, the Ring of Honor in the Swamp is comprised of 2.
Yeah.
We
had Spurrier and
Youngblood.
David Hitchcock, who you met a few minutes ago. He was an ATO, and same thing, student athlete, didn't get a chance to do a whole lot like the rest of us. That was our life. His life was at Yon Hall. Did you live at Yon, or would you live off campus?
Lived off campus. Yon Hall, I've heard some wild stories about that place. I could not imagine living in a stadium with all of your teammates.
You probably heard stories about David, and David is the son of a Baptist preacher in Winter Haven. He didn't get to that part when he was talking about taking your aunt to homecoming in high school. Right. Todd's podcast is sponsored in part by Saunders Real Estate, your trusted partner in land and commercial real estate since 1996. With over 125 expert advisors located throughout the Southeast United States, the full-service brokerage specializes in a wide range of property types from farms and ranches to commercial buildings and development land. If you're looking to build your legacy with a confident investment, please visit SaundersRealEstate.com or call 877-518-5263 to connect with an advisor today. Did you really enjoy your time as a punter in college, or were you really saying, I'm just ready to get to the pros? How did you know you were good enough to be in the pros?
I'll tell you what, man. Never had any ambitions beyond playing for the Florida Gators. And this sounds crazy. It really does. But, growing up during a time when the Gators were the hottest thing in sports, not just football, but basketball. Tim Tebow was running the show. Urban Meyer was running the show. And we were right down the street. Both my parents were Gators. And so they took us up to games all the time. NFL wasn't really, a big focus. We didn't care about the Buccaneers, the Jaguars, the Dolphins. It was the Florida Gators.
Yeah.
So, just having the chance to go play up there was an absolute dream come true. And really wasn't until probably my senior year of college when I knew I had a really great chance of going to the NFL. Actually considered leaving after my junior year, and had some draftable grades, Reese's Senior Bowl nod, a combine invite, and I was going to leave after
the Birmingham Bowl ring or whatever it was, John, that Tommy's throw it in your face.
Yeah, full of diamonds. And I had the whole staff at Florida come down to Orlando and sit down with me, and Coach Jim McElwain and the staff, and they convinced me to stay. So ended up staying another year, and luckily had another productive season and made the NFL. So
yeah, right before we went on, your dad sent me a picture of you and your brothers with Tebow. You, all three of you had your Tebow 15 jerseys on, and I'm trying to figure out, you all look like you were 8, 10, 12, somewhere in that range. I said, now which one is which one? And but you can see his pretty cool picture of you three with him. Doing a little research, one of the things I found was the date doesn't really matter, but it's September 25th of 17. You had a 61-yard punt against Kentucky. And I noticed they were trying to double team you. And I said, who double teams a punter? But that must have come from the reputation of you have is, hey, I don't kick and run off the field. I kick and go down and try and tackle. And I just watched, and you just laid one of them flat backwards. And I said, this is a badass punter right here. That's pretty cool. Again, does that go into the mindset of I want to be more than just kick and run off the field?
100%.
Is it because you were a defensive back for a while? Is that part of the gear that kicks in?
I think that was part of it. And, knowing that I could outrun and kind of outman a lot of those guys on the field was kind of motivating to me, kind of made me a little cocky. And, if I could hit a good punt and see that thing flying through the air, I was taking off downfield to try to make a play, and ended up having a lot of solo tackles, both those 2016 and 17 seasons. But it's funny, I always give the long snapper a lot of crap for it, because I say you were so less of a threat that they had to let you free release and double team me. He's not happy about that one, but
does your cousin believe that now that he's the long snapper?
He's actually doing it, man. He's doing a great job. He'll hit some guys too. Rocco will, but man, yeah, that Kentucky play was definitely one of my career highlights. Throwing that one defender and then pancaking the other one, it was fun to see it.
Who calls fake punts? Do you have the latitude to do that if you see them set up a certain way, or is like, hey, if you do it, you darn sure better get the first down, because if you don't, the coaches are going to rip you up one side and down the other?
It really depends. Most of the time, you'll spend weeks and weeks practicing certain fakes that can be run against, multiple protections. And sometimes it comes down to whether or not you have the look on the field. But,
Right.
Often it's hard to, communicate that. You have a guy up in the skybox with a headphone that can see the whole look, and he'll try to talk, the call down to the coach and have him flag us on the field to run it. So it's either that if there's time, or, you'll run out there with the plan of calling it. And sometimes it's not always successful when, when it goes that way. So
How many did you run or throw? I mean, did you ever throw any too? Being a former quarterback, did you get a chance to throw?
Never. Was really bummed about it, especially at Florida. Talking about the whole pride and athleticism thing,
Yeah.
the whole off season, I was winning all the agilities and sprints. I remember we did a big team agility drill. I was against Antonio Callaway, who ended up being a highly drafted wide receiver, and beat him and several other, potential first-round draft picks that ended up becoming first-round draft picks in agility drills. So, I was always just prideful in my athleticism and never got the chance to run any fakes at Florida, besides one. I don't know if I've told you about this one, if you've seen it. I got in a lot of trouble for it, and it carried through my NFL career as well during the scouting process. So it was against Florida State, my senior year home game. Never ran a fake in my whole career. And, we were losing pretty bad. We only had a couple minutes left. We end up scoring late, and there's less than a minute on the clock. And
I'm sure FSU had cheated throughout the whole game.
they must have. And, man, we had this fake to run. I was the holder. Eddie Pinero was the kicker. And the whole fake was him pretending to swing his leg through, and I took it to the edge.
Right.
As we're running on the field, I knew it was going to be the last play of my college career. And so I brought the huddle in, told all the guys, I said, we're running the fake, we're running the fake. Some were on board, others weren't. Others said, no, coach didn't call it. They're very by the books. And so we had half of the team that knew we were running the fake and protected, and the other half didn't. So ended up getting crushed in the backfield. I'll have to find the highlight and share it with you. It's hilarious. Yeah.
So do you feel like your teammates sold you out, or did you call the audible and say, hey, I'm running this, or was it actually called in from the coach?
Oh, the coaches didn't call it. I called it on the field. I said, this is the last play of my college career. We're running this fake and seeing what we can do. We were already we're losing by so much already. When I got to the NFL during the scouting process, a lot of the coaches were like, you can't go rogue in the NFL. I didn't know what they were talking about.
They paid that much attention to every play. Wow, that's amazing.
Because they talked to all these coaches through the process, and special teams coach said, yeah, he called that himself. It's a good way to cover for himself, too. Unsuccessful fake,
What was the draft like night? What was the draft like? Maybe it's a better way to say it. Were you sitting around with your family? I mean, you weren't going in the top 5, so obviously it's not the same as, hey, ESPN's here covering us. Was it still a pretty exciting time?
It was. Looking back on those moments, wish, would have enjoyed it more. It was very high stress because, I didn't know what my future held. And so I ended up just sitting at the house and hanging with the family. Wasn't having drinks or anything celebratory. We were just hanging out, watching it on TV, and, was constantly on the phone with my agent and scouts and coaches trying to figure out where I was going to land. And honestly, had a couple exciting, phone calls. Jacksonville Jaguars called and said they were going to draft me, and ended up not having a pick until the 7th. So the Raiders got me in the 5th. So
Would have been cool if you'd have gone to the Jacksonville. It would have been easier. I know your parents, I see them at Tommy's games, and I'm sure they loaded up and brought everyone to your games as well as much as possible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a culture shock going from, Orlando to Gainesville to Oakland, California.
Yeah.
So it was a long ways from home. But, man, it was a cool experience. Playing out there in Oakland was still kind of the, down and dirty Raider culture. We were still playing the Oakland Coliseum on a baseball field. And, man, it was quite the experience.
How was Gruden to play for?
Oh, he's awesome. He's awesome. And I love that he's reemerging as a media personality now, because I think it's going to help revive his,
You think he'll get back in?
I think he will. It's it's in his DNA.
Yeah.
But he's so much fun to watch film with, and I truly call him a genius. The way he's able to, break down these defenses and communicate what he's seeing on the field to a player and actually teach them a game it's so special. So, oftentimes I would, go into the facility early and watch him break down quarterback film to the QBs, just because it was so much fun to watch, and you can catch a glimpse of what he would do in the film room with what he's doing with Barstool now.
Right.
So, yeah.
What was it like playing in the NFL? Is it just everybody's faster, bigger, stronger, smarter? You get the best of the best from all of college. Is it that much harder, or you're all exceptional athletes. You're all exceptionally smart, exceptionally talented. So your level is obviously increased. So it's not like you're a slouch that's going in, or they don't take those kind of folks. Is it really that much harder than the announcers say?
Definitely. And they always say, people that have nothing to lose are the scariest people. It's the opposite in the NFL. People have everything to lose in the NFL. You got guys that are fresh out of college with, kids and families and trying to make a career for themselves. And it's all coming to an end here. And it's all kind of riding on these moments.
Right.
The competition is what really opened up my mind. Even my rookie year, even week one in the NFL, every week that I'd walk out onto the practice field or walk into the training facility to have breakfast, I would look out and they would be working out other players in my position. So
really,
you have a whole scouting department upstairs that doesn't care about you. They see you as just a number, and they're trying to replace you every week with somebody better.
Were you drafted to be the punter?
I was.
So it's not like they had 4 and they just said, hey, let's give Johnny a try here. You were brought in to be the guy.
Correct.
So they were all trying to dethrone you.
Yep. They had an all-pro named Marquette King who was playing for the Raiders the prior year, and when Gruden's staff came in, they let him go and then drafted me. So I was brought in to be the starting punter, and even still, every week they're trying to create depth charts on who's available, who's on the free agency circuit, and find someone to replace you if you have a down week. So
1 week could get you booted.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So a lot of pressure.
One of the things I wanted to ask, and is I don't know if I'm on the right path here, but what causes a punter or a kicker to leave the NFL? Is it money? Is it injuries? As a punter, if you go from kicking at 44.1 to 43.9, is that really a big difference? Or is it they tell you to kick to a certain spot and you don't ever hit that spot? Is it a mentality? Is it an attitude? Is it a little bit of everything?
I say it's a combination of luck and timing. To your point, when you look at the statistical, charts after every NFL season, specifically punting, if you're looking at gross, net average, fair catches, all those statistics, the margins are, so condensed. It's often a tenth of a yard between a guy that's first in the NFL and third or fifth in the NFL. So, the margins become so tight at the position. It comes down to a lot of other things, what you are off the field, if you're a leader, if you're healthy, if they think you have longevity. A lot can really play into it. And I think it's one of the most competitive professions on the planet. It actually is. There's 32 jobs. They often don't carry backup punters or on practice squad.
Right.
So maybe a backup kicker on practice squad, but there's 32 punters in the world. So a lot of luck and timing.
What are the most common injuries that punters get? Is it hip? Is it knee? Is it feet? Where do you guys get hurt the most?
Between the ears.
Oh, really? I was going to say, and where's Clay building his practice from all you washed up, broken down kickers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say it's between the ears because, it is a position where you can stay relatively healthy for a long time.
Okay.
It all becomes a mental game at that point. How you're managing your body, how you're adapting to, how you mature throughout your time in the NFL. The psychological game is really the most important piece when it gets to that level because, again, everybody's just so even almost when it comes to their abilities.
You also you held for kicks, in the pros as well. Did you ever flub one?
Never did. Never did. But luckily I got to hold for a lot of great kickers.
Yeah.
Held for Harrison Butker, who I think is the best kicker in NFL history. I was talking to Tommy about that last night, actually. Got to hold for Justin Tucker and got to hold for Eddie Pinero, who's a Gator great. And up until last year, he was like the most accurate kicker in NFL history, like high 80s%. So held for a lot of really good ones.
Well, they've got to have ultimate faith that you're going to put the ball the way they want it in the exact spot when they want it, and I know every snap is not perfect. How hard is it sometimes to field somebody? The ball's wet, it comes skidding back rather than spiraling back. I would think that's almost as much of a skill as some of the other things. Maybe not quite as kicking it through the uprights, but it's got to be that you and the snapper and the kicker are all on the same page every time.
Yeah, and you asked earlier what helps a punter keep their job. I think holding is one of the most important factors because punting it's not very black and white. Kicking is. So if you have a good kicker, He's the one
Says
that
up on
runs
the scoreboard.
He runs the show too. He runs the scoreboard. He runs the show too. If he doesn't like the long snapper, if he doesn't like the timing of that, and he doesn't like the hold, you're not going to be on the team, because they just prioritize the kick. I mean, the kicking game so much more. But if you watch it up close, there's so many things that can go wrong in such a small area of space. I mean, if you're say 40 to 45 yard field goal and the ball is half an inch off of its spot, it can divert the flight of the ball and often. Right. 8 to 10 yards one direction. So you have to be perfect with it every time. So,
are there kickers in the league that have a reputation of scapegoating their snapper or their holder?
There's a couple. I won't say names.
You don't have to say the names.
Yeah, there's a couple because it's an easy excuse. If I showed up late today, I maybe would have blamed the traffic.
Right.
Right.
But again, you just said if you're a half inch off, the kick could go wide by 8 to 10 yards.
Right. Then there's circumstances where the holder actually is the problem, and then it's justified. But yeah, it's really interesting to see that sometimes.
Did you hold in high school, or did you not hold till you got into college?
I did. Ended up holding in high school for a really good kicker. His name was Austin Jones. He was a soccer player at Boone and went on to play for Temple in Alabama. Really good kicker. So, man, I played with a lot of good specialists in my time.
Do you think a lot of it is because you had good hands as a quarterback, and then, you handled the ball a lot, so he knows how to get it and make something good out of a tough situation?
Definitely. Yeah, but being a good holder is very important, and being an athlete is essential to being a good holder. To your point, some of those games we played in where it's, 28 degrees and blowing rain,
right.
And your snapper might accidentally send you a knuckleball back there, and you got to get that ball down, spin the laces all within, a couple tenths of a second from snap to kick. So a lot happens.
What's the longest field goal you ever held for?
Oh man, I think Eddie had a 56-yarder in a game, I'd like to say. But that was probably the longest one I held for. Depending on how the offense is, often dictates whether or not you have a long field goal or if you kick a lot of short ones.
Yeah.
But back in the day, though, it was fun to go out there and hold when I was playing for the Gators, because at the time, Eddie was one of the most exciting things happening on the team, and the stadium would chant his name. I don't know if you ever went to a game in 16. Eddie, every time he went out there to kick, and it was pretty electric.
Yeah. Well, we've had some stinker kickers for a while. It seems to be we're back on track a little bit, but we had some, it seemed like they were trying walk-ons every week. Mm-hmm. Hey, if you think you can kick, come on out. And
we had a couple open student tryouts.
Yeah.
That it was kind of embarrassing as a current specialist at Florida, having all these just Gen Pop students and not knocking them, but just coming out there, it just kind of felt like it degraded your worth on the team a little bit. But
you've been playing sports your whole life, and here's someone that could kick the ball, perhaps.
Right. It's maybe it's more so of the perspective, having the team go, we're just gonna invite a bunch of people to try out because that's all we got. Never had to do it for punting though, which was good.
Yeah. Well, we've had good punters too. Hey, podcasters, if you're looking to elevate your organization's leadership, strategy, and teamwork, please look no further than Two Blue Aces. Founded by a team of military senior officers with over 200 years of combined leadership experience, they deliver executive-level consulting, targeted seminars, keynote addresses, and customized business development strategies. Their one-on-one mentorship and strategic assessments are grounded in real-world decision-making under pressures and have helped companies transform succession planning, team performance, and executive vision. It's rare to access this level of insight outside the military, and I've seen firsthand the impact it can make. To learn more or to connect with their team, please visit twoblueaces.com or call 863-223-2554. What's some of the wildest stuff that you saw in college?
Man, do we got time?
Yeah.
Got a lot of stories. I would say that's a pretty broad question because saw a lot of crazy things on the field and then saw a lot of even crazier ones off the field. One of my fondest memories.
None of them in the fraternity house. So. Nothing bad ever happened there.
That was all clean fun. On the field, we played with some wild men. One of them was Jared Davis. He was a first-round linebacker, roommate of mine at the time. And back in the day, kickoff rules, they still had to have a wedge buster where they had two big guys in the return team that would lock arms. And you would take somebody that did not care about their well-being and have them run full speed and bust the wedge.
Was that Jared?
That was Jared Davis. So, one play, I remember seeing him run down the field. He splits the wedge, levels the two guys, and the pressure of the contact of his helmet, his cheek pad had pressed into his cheek and exploded his cheek.
Oh my God!
And he had to get stitches across his whole cheek just from how how hard his helmet compressed into his head. And man, seeing that was crazy. Just realizing there's levels to this game, and seeing guys in the SEC do stuff like that, And then, I played for Will Muschamp. Mm-hmm. So, notorious hothead. I call it passion. It was so much fun to play for him, and, seeing how he'd come into the locker room fired up, punching whiteboards, screaming. Got to see some really cool coaching dynamics, too.
Would you sit back and go, what's wrong with that guy? Or would it motivate you or go, geez, this guy's woke up on the wrong side of the bed? I mean, someone that comes in and starts punching and is that, evocative, I don't know whether evocative, whatever the word is, about how they act. Is that, I don't think I would respond to that. I would think, we should be a little bit better than punching scoreboards and stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's always interesting because that comes down to the success of the team. It's how they respond to the coaching style. And, some coaches were super, fired up and rah-rah like Muschamp. And then you had some guys like McElwain that were a little more Saban-esque and a little more laid back and just kind of, led silently, so to speak. And, we all responded great to the passionate, fired up Will Muschamp, So, but yeah, we never saw it as anything negative. We thought.
Do you think a good coach? I didn't mean to interrupt, but do you think a good coach knows his team and responds and acts accordingly, or do you think a good coach is who they are and they want you to respond to them and say, "Hey, I want you to get more fired up"?
Yep. Well, I'd say the best of the best, the coaches are not the leaders. They are a couple key individuals on the team. And, looking at dynamics of what makes a team great, had the chance to be on a 4-8 Florida Gator team and also an SEC championship appearing Florida Gator team, and was on a Raiders team that won like 3 games our rookie year, and was on the Chiefs that went on to win a Super Bowl. I wasn't on that team, but was on the team that ended up winning it. And what made the great teams great was a couple key individuals that just had respect of all the other guys in the locker room, and guys just wanted to stay in line. So,
and I think that's probably what a professional athlete is expected to do. Is there should be those guys that are professionals throughout, and everyone looks at, you got the wackadoodles over there that putting their heads through the lockers like Eli would probably be doing, but then you got the other guys as, hey, this guy's, he's really the leader that we're going to follow because he's smart and he can articulate a point of view for us to get behind. You played for 5 different teams in the NFL. Was Gruden the best coach you played for? I don't know if the best is the right way to describe it. Was he the most interesting coach?
Most definitely. Played for a lot of really great ones. I liked Coach Mike Vrabel a lot when I was playing for the Tennessee Titans. He's a guy that will literally line up across from another player and hit them full speed in practice. And that's just also something you don't see very often. And, funny enough, I knew him from the Ohio State days because he was a coach there at Ohio State with Urban Meyer, and he helped recruit me to Ohio State. So it was kind of a really cool
Did he remember you?
He sure did.
Was
man.
He pissed off at you?
Funny enough, he said you should have came to Ohio State when I walked past him in the hallway. But he remembered. Those guys don't forget.
Yeah. Well, they put a lot of effort into, scouting out talent amongst these kids and, trying to convince you to go.
And that's what's hard these days is you have to invest so much in building the trust of a family and a player to convince them to attend a school. And nowadays, you kind of got the easy button. If you got money, you got them.
Right.
So it's kind of changed the recruiting dynamic.
Do they still have Gator getters at University of Florida?
Yeah, they do. They just go by different names these days. Yeah. But, they still have an unbelievable recruiting department up there that are great hosts.
Good.
So, yeah.
What was rookie camp like for you when you were there? I mean, is it just, this is such a different culture than I've ever known, I'm just going to sit back and try and take it all in, or I'm going to keep my head down and try not to make eye contact, or how did you approach it?
Well, there's a lot of strange obligations when you're a rookie. Luckily we did our training camp in Napa Valley. So we would drive 2 hours north from Oakland and we do training camp in Napa, which was fun because we'd practice and then all the wineries would host us. So we got first class white glove experience after practice. We get to go to all the nice wineries and wine and dine those. But, on top of it, kind of my first welcome to the NFL moment happened during training camp. I was fortunate enough to walk into the locker room and interact with some NFL legends. Got to talk directly with Marshawn Lynch and Antonio Brown, some key personalities, and just getting to sit next to those guys and get dressed in a locker room was just a wow moment.
Yeah.
So,
fake punt in against the Chargers.
oh yeah, let's talk about it.
That was a great one too. These are all videos on YouTube or wherever they are. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So that was one of the, I guess I'm only 1 for 2 on fakes, the one that I called, and then this one.
Right.
And this was one of the ones where we had, practiced the look for several weeks leading in because, it's true. Guys say it a lot. The NFL is a copycat league. A lot of what you see from one team, you'll see from the next. And so, going into the game, we really knew how they were going to rush us. Our operation time was phenomenal. We were really quick, so we knew they weren't going to bring a block look. So they gave us a really nice return look where the end was kind of spread out. And once we saw the look, I looked over to Coach and he gave me the nod and we ran the thing. And luckily got to run it for a long ways down the sideline, and and it was in the record books for a while. It was the top 3 fastest breakaway play the whole NFL season. It was like Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt, and then Johnny Townsend running for his life.
Well, I think it showed your athleticism, but it also showed the great blocking you had.
Right.
And it's like, that's a heck of an average he's got. He should retire right now and never run again in the NFL. Say, hey, Johnny, I retired with a 42-point average or yard average.
Yeah, it's funny. We always flaunt those stats. So Tommy, for example, he has like the highest quarterback rating in Chiefs football history. So he had like 3 perfectly thrown fakes. And so we always like to joke that Tommy's, better QBR than Patrick Mahomes, and I have a higher per run than Bo Jackson when he played for the Raiders. So we always get to, flaunt those stats.
Was Tommy a quarterback in high school? Did he also have that talent as well?
He did it all, but he was a great free safety.
Okay.
He was, all county a few times and had a bunch of interceptions, and he was always just really skinny. He was a string bean up until really his senior year of college. And
right.
That was cool to see for his career because he was, I wouldn't say underdeveloped, but his body just hadn't really matured yet.
Right.
And then going into his senior year, he blossomed, and then he's hitting the highest hang times ever recorded in an NFL game and setting all these franchise records in Kansas City shortly after. And so it's really cool to see him just so quickly develop.
Good. What's the longest punt you ever had in college or the pros?
I think it was the Georgia game in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And that was a 70-yard punt. And that was the longest one in the air that I can recall.
It was 70 yards in the air?
Yep. Can we fact check that one? It's just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 70 in the air against Georgia in 2016.
Do the coaches ever just say, hey, man, we're deep, just kick it as far as you can and don't worry about the coverage, just get us out of here? Do they ever just dump that on you? Or is there always a scheme as just put it out there 50, 55 yards and we can still cover it and the net will be about the same?
Yeah, I'd say it's all circumstantial, and that's what kind of makes the goods great is being able to pull out those different clubs in your bag. If you're backed up in the end zone and you need to flip the field, if you can send one 65 yards and send that guy running backwards to catch it, great punt.
Right.
If you're trying to limit returns and you send one really high up and hang it up and force a fair catch near the sideline, great punt. If you got to pin them deep, pin them deep. So, yeah.
It seems like there's not as – when we were younger, everyone was punting for the coffin corner. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like they do that. It seems like they now kick them higher for the hang time and let the other players get down there and cover and make the guy do a fair catch. It doesn't seem like people are going for the coffin corner. Is that accurate, or is that just how the game has evolved, like the copycat that you just mentioned?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the kicking position has changed drastically over the last few years. If you look at statistics, they've never been higher, and it's just because of this very reason. They're straying away from being so technical with everything. When I was in Oakland, the scheme was punt it on the sideline every single time. We won it 42 yards, fair caught on the sidelines. And then, you have some coaches that just want you to send it as high and as far as you can and let the gunners go, make a play. Because, you can hit a perfectly good punt on the sideline and they'll return it for a touchdown. And you can hit a really low and long one that doesn't look good statistically, and the guy just gets nowhere.
Yeah.
So, coaches are now just trying to get as much field as they can.
Yeah. A few weeks ago, we ran into each other at a reception for fellow Gator Walter Clayton Jr., who they had just won the NCAA basketball championship. Seems like a pretty solid young man. A friend of ours, Hal Wallace, been kind of a mentor amongst a bunch of people. What advice would you have for Walter as he's getting ready to enter? You've spent 5 years. You've been around the pros for a while through either your brother or different things that you've done. What advice would you give Walter? I think he was the number 5 pick. Is that what it was out in Utah?
Yep.
What would you say to him as he's getting ready to embark upon this incredible moment in his life?
You know what, Walt and his whole family is just such an amazing reflection of the Gator Nation. He's a breath of fresh air. I'll tell you what. There's not many guys that are like him, that have his head on so straight.
Very unassuming.
Oh my gosh! And then what he does on the court it's just truly special. And so he is all around just a well-rounded athlete. I think that's why he's just going to crush it in the NBA. It's just he has all those puzzle pieces. But piece of advice to him is just continue to be yourself. When you get to the next level, there's a lot of different pressure to change. Not only your game but how you approach it. I'm sorry. Just within your preparation and your diet, you think you have to eat different. You really don't.
Right.
If you can do what got you there and continue to be yourself, you'll have a great career. And I don't have really any regrets in my athlete career other than that. I felt like when I got to the NFL, I had to do more than what got me there, and I changed up the way I trained and ate, and even practiced. And he's been playing basketball since he was a kid.
Yeah.
And that muscle memory is ingrained in him, and I hope he can just be true to himself and go play ball. So
I remember one thing he said when he made comments that night was he had to train his body to do an 82-game schedule as opposed to a 42-game. And it's like, wow, that's double the abuse that his body and the pressure and stress that his body's going to go under. And, now it seems like college games or, college season, there's going to be 14 games with playoffs and everything. And you get to the NFL, you're 16. Unless you get into the playoffs, you got a couple more. It doesn't seem like it's an extension quite like doubling it was in the basketball world for the NFL world. But I would assume that, again, bigger, stronger guys coming to hit you. Practices are probably bigger, faster, stronger, where you're putting in more energy and everything. I think it would have to have a certain amount of maturity that comes along with it, and I think that was kind of bred into you from your parents and just your environment, and I think that goes a long way. Hey everybody, this is your host Todd Dantzler. As most of you know, I'm a partner with Saunders Real Estate and have been a very active and working broker for over 42 years. I have fostered strong relationships throughout the state of Florida, working on properties ranging from agriculture and development land to multifamily, commercial, and industrial projects. If you have any real estate needs at all, please give me a call. I'd love to help. My direct line is 863-877-2846. Thank you. What are you doing now that your football life is behind you?
A lot of different things. And I just throw it into the category of entrepreneur because that kind of just loops it all in. I am a professional bobsledder with Team USA, so current Olympic hopeful, training with them full time. Running a foundation benefiting University of Florida Health called the Johnny Townsend Foundation, which going on 10 years of that now. It's all pediatric oncology focused. I am also a sports agent, which was a really natural synergy from, what I was doing by playing the game. Was always involved in the business side of sports, and now I have representation roles with collegiate football, NFL, and NBA clients. And, also acting as a media personality as well. I do a lot of broadcast work and, appearance type public speaking.
So let's dissect that a little bit. Let's talk about your foundation, because I know that's very important to you. Is it the is it Shands Pediatric, or is it what do y'all do with the money that you raise? How do you raise that money? How can people write you a check or give you a credit card, however you're looking? What support are y'all looking for?
Well, I'll tell you what, the whole charity it's been awesome because there has been so much support, and it's purely sports focused, which is unique as well. Leveraging the platform while I was at the University of Florida to launch it to benefit UF Health gave us so much support. And playing actively in the NFL, there were so many resources available to, help grow it. And, now we are, tied in with Gator football directly. We have a strategic partnership with the university. So Good. We do a couple events a year, one of which is the spring game tailgate, it's a blast if you've never been. And we rent the north lawn of the stadium, and we're the official Gator football alumni event. So we had about 120 former players last year, and open bars, all you can eat barbecue, silent auction, and we work directly with the executives at UF Health to determine where the money goes. So everything we do is very tangible when it comes to the fundraise, and that's why we focus on facility renovations, because we can not only see directly where the money's going, it's a transparency thing for our donors, but then we can also see exactly how the patients are benefiting from it. And one of the first renovations we did was at the oncology clinic there, by putting in entertainment systems and sleepaway recliners, and while these young patients are receiving infusions for cancer treatments or autoimmune diseases, they're entertained with gaming systems, and their families can stay in their rooms with them and sleep overnight. And so we've been really focused on amenities.
Are you able to get the athletes at University of Florida to go over and hang out with the kids and let them get pictures and autographs? I mean, to me, that's key to their improvement, is just the mental part of it. But it's got to be a great reward for the young student athletes that are now exposed to something that they may not have ever been exposed to before.
Definitely. It's cool to see so many young guys now want to get involved in the charity space. I think one big piece of it is now NIL. They're making so much of this 1099 money. They're looking for outlets to lower their tax liability, and charity is a great bucket for that. And now all these kids have, huge platforms, whether it's online or in their communities, and they're recognizing that they have an obligation to give back to that community that's giving them this platform. And so you're seeing so much charity in these college kids these days. It's awesome to see it.
Do you also do something around Gator Growl?
We do. So we did the Gator Gallop the last few years.
Gallop.
So we're not doing that one this year, but we did that the last few years, and that was a really fun fall initiative. And we had another sports tie-in. We would always host the Gator Athletic Hall of Fame inductees on a fire truck in the parade. So we would do Gator Gallop and then take all the Hall of Fame inductees on a fire truck and ride the parade with them. So everything we do is woven in sport.
Nice.
So
I noticed on the web page, it looked like you had an event with a bunch of very beautiful young women and some wine, and I saw a picture of your younger brother. Who dresses that young man? I saw these pants on him.
Were they a little bit too tight?
They were a little too tight. They're a little too short. Wasn't wearing socks. I'm going, good Lord.
That's funny.
It's like Eli coming in on a good Friday afternoon sometimes. Yeah. But it's pretty cool to see young people now that have that giving back spirit. And I see it in the fraternities and sororities and the Greek life. And everyone's got a platform, and not everyone, but a lot of people seem to be thinking, hey, it's important for me to try and make the world a better place, whether it's your foundation with the stature and level that you have, or just helping one kid or one person that needs some help. So that's pretty cool.
Definitely.
Tell me about the bobsledding.
Oh, let's do it. Well, it's really unique these days. They have all sorts of recruiting pipelines to various sports outside of the NFL. So Team USA is now recruiting NFL players fresh out of the league and seeing if they can push a sled.
Because your body hadn't been beat up too bad yet.
Right. And, football, all the training you do, it directly translates to bobsledding. It's all linear speed, linear strength, a lot of Olympic-style lifting, explosive, twitchy athletes. And so football players are a great demographic because, typically we're within the, 6'1" to 6'4", around 200, 210 pounds. And, that makes for a great body type for bobsledding.
Right.
And, Herschel Walker was kind of the one that made it famous. And, Cool Runnings put us on the big screen. And but it's a culture shock. Being from Florida, winter sport. I had a kind of moment a few months ago where I was standing 14,000 feet at the top of a mountain in a spandex onesie and a motorcycle helmet. No viewership, no fans, just, gritty. So it's a really unique sport.
Do you think you'll make the team, or have you already made the team? Or I think you said you're one of them.
Yep. So officially a Team USA bobsleigh athlete. And, the way they do it now is we have like inter-squad Olympic trials, so to speak. And we'll all go up. All the top United States push athletes will compete on a timed track to see how quickly you can, push the sled. And then from there, they create teams based on where you're slotted with your times. And then you race the season. And it's like any other racing sport where, there's different circuits. There's a World Cup and a North American Cup, and they all have different point weights. And, depending on how you score, qualifies you for the World Championships, then that gets you the Olympics.
Where do you sit on the sled? Are you driver, brakeman, 2 or 3? I don't know the names of everyone, know what they do.
You kind of shuffle around.
Okay.
I've typically been in the back because the guy in the back is more of like the high-end speed guy. He's the very last one to jump in. And if you look at a bobsled track, it starts out flat and then you're going downhill. And when you have, 3 other guys that are all 220 pounds running top-end speed with a 700-pound sled, that thing generates some serious momentum. So, you got to have somebody in the back that can keep up for it and keep up with it and accelerate to be able to jump in. So that's kind of been my spot. But
what did you think the first time you went down the hill in that?
Had a really bad crash.
Really?
First ever trip down the ice, really bad crash. And, didn't know anything about the sport, so I didn't have a mouthpiece in. And luckily, I almost didn't put on a burn suit. So we wear these triple enforced Kevlar burn suits under the spandex. So, if you touch the ice, you're going 85, 90 miles an hour. It rips your skin right off. Oh, man. And so I almost didn't put on one of those, and luckily, I did. So I had a really bad crash.
You mean the guys that were there, they didn't say, hey, Johnny, you may want to put in a mouthpiece. You may want to try this suit instead of that Izod you're wearing and those shorts.
Man, it is a sport of attrition. It's, guys show up, they sell the Olympic dream, and your first crash, most guys don't come back. So, oftentimes it's a volume play, seeing how many guys they can get in a sled, and whoever likes it sticks around, and it's usually not many people. So I didn't get much of a, onboarding process.
Really? Tell us a little bit about your sports representation and, and who you're trying to represent. Are there certain sports that you lean towards, or, hey, I'm in the business, I'll look at anyone that needs representation?
Definitely. The business is really exciting right now. Just NIL is one big piece of it, but how quickly it's growing. If you look at how, brands and networks are spending money these days, it's all through athletes. They're a vehicle for all sorts of really unique promotion. So, the earning potential is really high, which is exciting. Having seen it as a player also gave me a unique experience on how to be managed. So, having been the product first, helped kind of teach me how to bring value to clients and have a pretty diverse group now. Got about 15 NIL clients, ranging from quarterbacks to kickers and snappers, and then also have a couple NFL guys and now some NBA clients I'm working with. And DJ Lagway was one of them. We spoke on this beforehand. Helped him with his charity to get that off the ground, and got to speak to the Gator football team last spring about how to start charities, and had a lot of guys on the team really receptive to it. And
nice. And
so I've been helping them with getting them off the ground, hosting events, connecting with Gator boosters and brands, and pulling it off. So
how are the Gators going to do this year?
I think they're going to do great.
Good.
I think a healthy Lagway is a great team, but looking at the depth beyond it, we have it. I think skill positions, we're a rock solid. Defense is great. Offensive line is one of the strongest parts of the team, in my opinion. Looking at those guys up front, and one of my clients, funny enough, is Aiden Warner, who's the second string quarterback at the Gators, and he's a Winter Park High School Orlando guy, and he had a great spring, and I think he's going to play a bunch this fall. Hopefully Lagway can stay healthy, and if not, we'll see Aiden Warner out there a bunch. So
good. Again, when we were at the cocktail party a couple of weeks ago for Walter, we were talking about the podcast and coming on, and I'd mentioned that I'd had Rowdy Gaines on, and classmate of mine, a year behind your mom, she knew him also. And you showed me a video of you going on stage with him, and 40, 45-second video, however long it was. And he was almost in 1 second of the video. And I said, oh my God, your mom must be taking this because she's not even paying attention to Rowdy, who's won 3 gold medals and all these records, and the whole focus is on you. And I said, that looks like what his mom would be doing, taking a video like that.
Yeah, Rowdy got cut out of that one. But, man, that was funny because I didn't even know he was going to be out there. And I had heard his name just because, you know, he's a pretty prominent athlete coming out of this area. And you know, sure enough, showed up in Paris, and they said, hey, this guy's going to be moderating your panel. And sure enough, it was Rowdy. So
he's a phenomenal guy. And if you don't like watching swimming, you should watch it when Rowdy's calling it, because he can make a non-swimmer watch swimming, because he can make it exciting. He knows his stuff, and he's just a really great guy. So I'm glad you got to spend some time with him.
Definitely.
Is there anything that we didn't talk about? If someone does want to contribute to your charity, what do they do? Go to the website, or how do they get involved if you're looking for more people to be involved? Or
yeah, you know, honestly, I think this one's an easy sell to get involved in the foundation, because we have a ton of fun. I always tell people it's glorified party planning, and people leave thinking that we have a good time. So if you guys want to come check us out, it's Johnny Townsend Foundation on Instagram, and also JohnnyTownsendFoundation.com. And we're always posting updates on events. We do a couple throughout the year. They're always a great time. We always have prominent, you know, Gator or NFL athletes out there supporting. And so please come check us out. We're, you know, it's purely a passion project, and we're trying to build a charitable community around UF Health. And we've now united, luckily, athletics, Blue Key, Greek Life, and the hospital network all into just one big community. So it's fun to see everyone coming together.
Nice. Very good. Well, thank you for coming over. I appreciate it. Eli, is there anything I left out?
I think you got it all.
Okay. I appreciate you coming over and enjoyed the relationship with your family, and your dad and my older brother are very close in college. I think they lived together for a while, and you know, known your mom's side of the family better than your dad's side. So I've enjoyed the relationship there. Wish you great luck with your foundation and your sports representation, and with the Olympics. I just hope that we get to be yelling for Johnny Townsend going down and being the brake man on the bobsled. So I wish you continued good luck, continued success with life, and appreciate you coming over.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on. Yeah, the family tie is one in and of itself, and I'm excited that we're now building a relationship.
Yep.
We have so much in common, and you know, excited to hopefully come back on the show soon.
Absolutely,
So.
And we look forward to that too. As we leave, I want to send you out trying to listen to some music, and today I want to talk about the Hollies, the Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress. If you've never heard it, it's a great song. But you know what? Let's not worry about the Hollies. That's the only song I really know that they have. Let's talk a little bit more about Stevie Winwood. He was with the Spencer Davis group, Traffic, Blind Faith, and a couple of others. And my favorite songs of his are Higher Love and Back in the High Life Again. Give Me Some Lovin'. It's actually a song by the Spencer Davis group, but Stevie Winwood gave it some soul and some throaty sound. So, you know, when you finish this, plug in a little bit of music, enjoy yourself. And thank you for coming on Todd's podcast. Johnny, appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Todd. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Todd's podcast. This has been your host, Todd Dantzler. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to rate, review, follow, and subscribe to Todd's podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you have any questions for me, suggestions for future guests, or are interested in sponsorship opportunities for our podcast, please just fill out the contact form on my website, todddantzler.com. I look forward to hearing your questions and feedback, and please take care.